Now, the Electoral Commission says it is beginning the process to remove some persons it says are minors and foreigners from the new voters register. Presenting the provisional report after the conclusion of the 36-day exercise, Chairperson Jean Mensah said the minors and foreigners are among the 16.9 million persons who are currently registered in the new voters register. Take a listen.
It is evident that most of the challenge cases were from border regions, with the exception of Ahafo. And it gives reason to assume that the challenge cases relate to citizenship issues emanating from the infiltration of foreigners. At a later date, we will shed more light on our findings. The Commission is mindful of the infiltration of foreigners at a number of our registration centers. Additionally, we are aware that a number of minors have found their way into the register. We are confident that the challenge processes initiated at all districts throughout the country will unearth these illegal persons and rid the register of those who do not qualify to be thereon. We are confident that the register that would be used for the 2020 elections will be a wholly owned Ghanaian enterprise, reflecting qualified Ghanaians and Ghanaians only. I'll come to the important subject of the total number of registered voters at the end of day 36. That is the main registration exercise. We now come to the number of persons who registered as at day 36. The number of persons amount to or add up to 16,932,492. At the end of the two-day mop-up exercise, 30,814 persons had successfully registered as part of the 2020 voters registration exercise. In a nutshell, the total number of registered voters at the end of the 2020 voter registration exercise stands at 16,963,306.
The Electoral Commission says such persons will be taken off the register through challenge cases currently pending.
The process of deduplication and adjudication, which are currently ongoing, will flag multiple registrations in the system. Additionally, the challenge system put in place during the registration and exhibition exercise will further flag unqualified voters on the register. Ultimately, these processes will contribute to the cleaning of the register and ensure its integrity and credibility ahead of the 2020 election. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's Let the Citizen Know encounter. And before we take a bow, we would like to assure the good people of Ghana that as a commission, we are determined to put in place and ignite all mechanisms available to us to clean the register and rid it of all unqualified persons, i.e. minors and foreign nationals. We are confident that at the end of the day, we will present Ghanaians with a credible register that reflects Ghanaians only, a wholly owned Ghanaian endeavor.
Now, let's go ahead and crunch some of the numbers that we have gotten from the Electoral Commission. Joining us for more on this is Deputy Head of our Political Desk, Winston Amwa, for more on this. Also joining us right now is Joseph Akablay, who covered this briefing for JoyNews. He joins us via Zoom. Joseph, how did the EC explain the issue of minors and foreigners on the electoral roll? Right, let's go to Winston Amwa, who is with us in studio. Right, Winston, take us through the regional numbers.
Yes, Daniel. So let me just quickly run you through the numbers as the Electoral Commission has presented it to all of us, and then we'll do a bit of analysis of it because it's very important that you have a very good understanding of the numbers as presented by the Electoral Commission and what pertains previously. So if you look at the regional breakdown, the Upper West region has 470,271. That's the total number of registered voters for the Upper West region. And then the Upper East has 653,730. The Northeast region, 288,393. Northern region, 1,047,539. But I guess one of the things people would want to look at, Daniel, even as I mentioned these figures, it's a bit of a comparison between the 2019 figures, because the Electoral Commission had conducted a limited registration exercise in 2019, and that had been added to the previous numbers that we had. So, for instance, if you look at the Upper West region in 2019, the figure, according to the Electoral Commission, is 440,989. Now, we're told that the number is 470,271. So you're looking at about a 30,000 increase in those numbers.
But of course, we would have done a limited voter registration this year.
Anyway, we would have done that.
Yeah, so you would expect that the numbers will go into the 2020 elections will be high.
Exactly. I'll explain that shortly. If you go to the Upper East region, in 2019, the figure was 697,778. But after the end of the mop-up, according to the Electoral Commission, we have 653,730. That's a reduction of over 40,000. Now, Daniel, let me just do a little bit of analysis here, because what I see looking at the figures from 2000, I normally say that 1992, 1996 are outliers. We don't really use them a lot for analysis because of the circumstances around the time. But you would see that any time there's been a compilation of a new voters register, certain regions, or there are some regions where there's a reduction in the number. Let me just do this. In 2000, in the Western region, the total number of registered voters was 1,076,778. By 2004, when we compiled a new voters register, the number had reduced to 1,007,816. That's a reduction of 69,000. Okay? So you could see that it happened there from 2000 to 2004.
What's about this time round?
This time round, if you look at the Western regional figures, and I'd like to do something here because in the Western region, it's been split into two, Western North and Western
South.
But because of the analysis, would actually merge the numbers. So you look at 2019, you're looking at 1,705,129. You're now looking at the two, 1,650,759.
That's interesting.
That's also a reduction.
Now you find that the Western region is one of the decider regions.
Yes.
When it comes to the final election, because they often go with the winner of it's a swing region, as they like to call it. So what will this mean for the government in power and the opposition?
Well, Daniel, what this means for the government in power is very simple. Now, the thing is, if you look at the numbers, consistently the Greater Accra region has had the most votes. Okay. People have actually talked about the Ashanti region, but they've never had lots of registered voters than the Greater Accra region. But the thing is that the voter turnout in the Ashanti region is always high. So even though lots of people have registered in the Greater Accra region, the voter turnout in the Ashanti region is always high, and as a result favors, in many of the instances, the current government. If you look at 2012, for instance, I just want to chip this in. In 2012, the Greater Accra had 2,792,576 registered voters. The Ashanti region had 2,557,122. That's like a gap of 200,000. Now, watch this. Number of persons who voted in the Greater Accra region, 2,174,645. But in the Ashanti region, it was 2,190,000, representing 85.65 voter turnout compared to the Greater Accra 77.87.
And that's how they got a higher number than the Greater Accra.
That's how they got a higher number.
That's very interesting. Winston, let's go to Joseph Akable, who is joining us via Zoom to try and get a word from him. Joseph, thanks for joining us. What method did the EC say they'll use to remove the minors and the foreigners from the register?
And so for now, the Commission explains that in terms of the challenge cases that have been filed, there are about 30,000 of them, and these have been filed at various levels. mostly in the districts, and it relates to one, the fact that some foreigners have been registered. The second relates to the fact that there are individuals who are minors who have also been registered. And so the expectation is that with the 30,000 plus cases, once it goes to the challenge process and they are resolved, the EC expects that these ineligible persons will be taken off the register, with the chairperson assuring that it is on December 7, you only have Ghanaians who will be participating in these elections, and there will be Ghanaians who are of sound mind, who are 18 years at least, will be participating in this process.
Now, isn't the number 30,000 for number of challenges on the high side, Joseph?
That is the figure. It's depending. There are the cases that have been filed so far. So these are matters that have not been resolved. And so, I mean, there's a possibility that if they go through the process and they are actually cleared that they are actually Ghanaians who are at least 18 years of age, it will mean that such persons will remain on the register. And so then again, it comes back to the arguments that have been made in the Supreme Court, which were to the effect that the AC had insisted that using the Ghana card and the passport coupled with the guarantor system was the surest way of ensuring that only Ghanaians get onto the road. And we know for a fact that the guarantor process has been used in terms of the statistics that they put out today. And the main thing that has been used the most across the country is the Ghana card, with the second being the guarantor system. The passport, not too many people use the passport. And so it raises the question again that it appears you have people either vouching for persons who are not qualified, or persons who are not supposed to have access to the Ghana card have access to them, or as may be the case, this whole challenge process will actually affirm those cards that have been issued. And so then it comes back to the point again that what informed the EC's view that there were unqualified persons on the register. And Madam Jemensa explains that they have individuals who monitor the exercise across the country, and if reported to them that they are minors and they are foreigners on the register, they intend to remove them. But the only way they can remove them as it stands remains the challenge system that has been filed already.
So has she given the assurance that these 30,000 people, if, well, whatever the tribunal decides, would sufficiently deal with the presence of minors and foreigners on the register?
That will be one part of it, and she says that will ensure that come December 7, you have only Ghanaians. In fact, in her own words, she says a wholly Ghanaian enterprise in terms of the register. But the other issue also that remains has to do with the fact that there are also issue of duplicates. You know, the EC had indicated that they are running an offline system. And so there are persons who registered at one place. Then when they realize that the movement plan has caused the EC to come closer to their homes, they went to register. And so once they upload onto the system, they detect by matching the verification data and the names as well as the personal identity information in terms of your age, date of birth, among others. When they match it and you are one person having the same, it matches it, and so they delete one of those ones. And so once that is also carried out, it will give us a sense of the actual people on the register. So it could be the case that the numbers could go low, and that is why the AC, despite giving us the figures today, still insists that they are provisional figures, because there's still some more work that needs to be done by way of the cleaning process before we even get to a level where the register is made available to the political parties, by which time we'll be going close to the election. The Commission admits that this is the first time it has had to compile a register this late, but it's been a successful exercise in the words of the Electoral Commission chairperson.
Joseph Akabli, thank you very much. Joseph was at that news conference where Madam JoyNews made that presentation.